It's Healthy Steps December, a season full of wonder and one commonly talked about surprise. Let's talk about pregnancy and how we can stay a step ahead of that if we wish to. One of the most common, I would say, surprise learning moments in the first curriculum that I have, which is sexual health and reproductive anatomy, is that women are born with every egg they will ever have. Can you true or false that for me?
Yeah, it's very true. And it's actually 3 generations worth. So you were conceived and born with all the eggs that you're ever going to have. And then when your mom was in her mom's womb and you were an egg inside of her,
she was in my nana?
You were inside your grandma. You were as an egg.
Wow. Okay, so the egg is in the ovary. All the eggs are in the ovary. Mm-hmm. What happens now?
So basically every month there's a couple that are going to start developing.
They're prepping.
And then one of them becomes like the chosen egg out of all. And the other ones just kind of reabsorb. And then the one, it's essentially you form a cyst on your ovary.
Yes, we learned about this in a prior episode.
And then
middle spurts.
It ruptures and releases the one chosen egg. So there are a lot of different follicles every month. Or how do we describe them? They're like little premature eggs.
Okay.
And the little premature eggs then start to develop, and then one really develops into the full-fledged egg. And the other premature eggs then just degenerate. And then you rupture this cyst on your ovary and release the egg. And then the fallopian tube, which is sitting out like this with little fingers, grabs it. And then the egg travels back into the fallopian tube. And that's where the sperm would fertilize it if there was sperm exposure.
Okay, so the sperm actually meets the egg in the fallopian tube?
Correct.
Huh.
And that's where fertilization happens, in the fallopian tube.
And then together they move into the uterus.
Then after it's fertilized in the fallopian tube, it's supposed to be passed along. There's little finger-like projections in the fallopian tube.
I just want you to know that I'm imagining this like the things in the car wash. Just
kind of. They just pass the egg on into the uterus. Now, if this doesn't happen correctly because there's been damage to the cells of the fallopian tube and they're not going to push it in to the uterus appropriately, that's how like an ectopic pregnancy would happen. If it didn't get passed into the uterus and it for whatever reason implants into the fallopian tube.
And that is?
An ectopic pregnancy is when the pregnancy is starting to develop outside of the uterus where there is not room to develop into a pregnancy. You can't grow a baby in your fallopian tube. And that can be an emergency. It sometimes has to be surgically removed. Because the tube will rupture eventually.
Viable.
Yeah.
If the egg is caught by the fimbriae, the little fingers, and we're traveling down the fallopian tube, but it doesn't meet a sperm, how long does the egg exist? And that is technically your fertility window, right?
Well, the fertility window, because the egg can only really be fertilized within about a 24-hour period of time. So, but the fertile window is referring to the fact that sperm can live up to 5 days.
Okay.
So if you have intercourse within a certain period of time before ovulation, the sperm could just be sitting in the fallopian tube waiting to fertilize the egg.
And that doesn't necessarily come from ejaculation, correct?
Correct. It could come prior to ejaculation and the pre-ejaculate.
Tag our October Not TMI, pre-ejaculate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So really leading up to ovulation, you're fertile. And then, but after ovulation, it's 24 hours.
Okay. And then what happens? My egg did not find a sperm. What happens to that egg?
It just goes into the uterus and then just kind of dissolves, goes out with your period. It just degenerates. It just does nothing.
It's just gone.
Kind of.
What a waste of cramps.
Yeah. And if you don't have fallopian tubes because you've been sterilized, the egg just falls into your pelvis and reabsorbs.
And also just dissolves.
Reabsorbs, dissolves.
And just to clarify, sterilization, like a tubal ligation or something like that, tubes tied, commonly referred, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Having your tubes tied.
If you're not ovulating, technically on the ovulation day, you said this earlier, sperm can live inside the female body for how?
Up to 5 days.
Okay. So that kind of really expands your fertility window.
Yes.
If you've had sex, it's not just that 24 hours.
Correct. Yeah. That's why if you have, what I like to say is intercourse prior to ovulation is procreational, meaning can't have a baby from this. Intercourse after ovulation is recreational, meaning you're just doing this to do it. You're probably not going to have a baby because the egg is gone.
Actually, that's a great analogy.
Procreational
Versus
recreational.
Actually, that seems like the perfect place to stop. I can't do better than that. This season may be full of wonder, but your reproductive health doesn't need to be left to chance. The real miracle is how well and how cool science really is. Give yourself the gift of confidence and information. Stay informed.